Welcome to Insight Builder channel, large language model automators, Python experts, and my dear friends. Can you tell me how AI coders and researchers work? If any of you guys had this question, then this video is going to answer in a very detailed fashion. We are going to deep dive into GPT-Researcher first, and in the forthcoming videos, I'll be diving into the AI coders like GPT-Pilot and also other agents that I find interesting. Let's move forward. Too long, don't see. It's just Python on prompts. If you guys were thinking that it's going to be some kind of a AI model that's doing all these wonders, yes, in fact, yes, I am not denying it, but that AI model needs to also be made to work. And believe me, it's not that straightforward. You are going to write and do a lot of coding on top of getting those AI to work for you. Probably we will have a different way of dealing with the world in the coming future, but Python and the prompts in fact are going to stay in, even though I don't want, but prompts are also going to stay. So let's buckle up and start understanding what is going on in the backend. Let's for a moment try to think why research GPT-Researcher. I mean, I am researching GPT-Researcher, right? I would have directly asked the GPT-Researcher itself to tell about GPT-Researcher. So let us do that right now before we start the discussion. I'm going to go to GPT-Researcher_td.py. This is the Python script that executes GPT-Researcher, and it is going to use OpenAI API key in the backend. I'll be using the model that is best fitting. So either it will be GPT 3.5 or GPT-4. Just a second. So in the backend, it uses GPT-4 turbo model. By default, I am not doing any kind of modifications here. And let us dive into the code right now. Let us dive into the execution of the code. So I'm going to call Python, and I'm going to call just a second. Let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see it better. Okay, and sorry about the modification and the delay. Let's now execute GPT-Researcher_td.py. So this is the same Python script that I'm running here. Let me execute this, and it is going to take a bit of time to load the environment and also load the GPT-Researcher module, and then it will ask for the query here. So I'm not diving into the code as such, but I'll be more interested to explain to you how the GPT-Researcher works after the reply. So here you can see that the Python program is asking me to provide the query here. Explain me technically how GPT-Researcher works along with code examples, right? And I am going to ask this question, and the GPT-Researcher is starting this AI research agent, right? And you can see that it is trying to go to various links here, and it is trying to get the explanation, and it is trying to fill the context details, etc. So I'll be showing you all these things in a couple of minutes, how it is going to be collated, what is exactly happening in the backend. As you can see that you can actually you can get the entire information about GPT-Researcher just by running this code if you have OpenAI API key. If you don't have, also you can use the open source models like Olama, and there is a way to do that. So now it is actually writing the report. The collection of the data has been done, and it is writing the report, and it is writing the report in the MarkDown format. Once that report is written, I'll be showing you the report right now in the MarkDown format, and it's also writing the code also, and it's giving me the practical applications. It's also giving me the link that I am discussing right now. I mean, think about it. The GPT-Researcher is doing GPT research on GPT-Researcher itself. You see the recursive nature of this. This is one of the important points that I want you guys to take back from this discussion. One of the important points. I'll be discussing other points too, but yeah, now the entire report is done, and it has come out of it. What you are seeing here is the report of GPT-Researcher by GPT-Researcher. Understanding the technical workings of GPT-Researcher with code examples. So this is the title that it has given, but this document looks horrible, right? I mean, I was not expecting such a document. I wanted a neat looking document, which is more of this. So let us change this, just a minute. So in VS Code, once you convert, I mean, just change the name of the report from .txt to .md, you will actually get a markdown format. All these are markdown formats. You will get a modified, not really modified, but the markdown syntax will be acceptable in this file. Now what we can do is, if you press Ctrl Shift V in VS Code, you will get this beautiful looking report, and with all the titles and all the details. If you scroll down, you will see the various kinds of planner and execution agents. You can literally read through this, and you can see the various ways you can actually get this things installed. You can see the steps that you need to take, the model that you need to use, and also work on the practical applications, conclusions, and the references, everything. I mean, you don't need to even continue watching this video. But the intention of this video is not to show what the GPT-Researcher can do. I mean, that's it. If you want to look at what GPT-Researcher can do, this is what it can do. It can complete the entire research in a matter of seconds. But what if I want to modify this? What if I want to do something that is required by me? In that case, we have to understand how the GPT-Researcher works in the backend. So let us close this, and let us see that how the GPT-Researcher is working. So in order to understand how the GPT-Researcher is working, we have to dive into the steps of, just a second, steps of the research process that the GPT-Researcher takes, and how the code and the prompts are doing it for you. That's the objective of this discussion. So learn how the agents work. Second, what kind of logic is used? In fact, without logic, none of that report that you saw a second back can be made possible. Third, understand the prompts. But before you understand, you need to find where the prompts are. That is something that I will guide you and show you how the developer Asaf Elovic, a huge shout out to Asaf Elovic for this, how he has actually come up with these prompts, and the prompts are pretty logical, and how the actual model actually does the work. We'll look into these things, and if you understand basic prompting, you will be able to do a lot of stuff. So basic prompting, that's very important. You don't need to be a prompt engineer. You don't need to be a prompt expert. I am talking about basic prompting, basic zero shot, basic React prompting, chain of thought prompting. If you think, okay, React, chain of thought, and zero shot, all these are complex. In fact, no, they are not. Do leave me a comment if you have any questions in these things. I will try to cover it. But there are lots of discussion already done on these prompt technologies. So I'm not covering it. After that, once you understand the purpose, how the agents like GPT-Pilot and Devin. So Devin has created a kind of a devil may cry situation in the internet, correct? But I want to demystify that. I want you guys to be confident and also be relaxed that, okay, the world is not ending, right? The logic is going to prevail, and programmers are there forever. I mean, even if there is going to be universe, it has to be coded and it has to be programmed. That's how it works. So yeah, let's move forward. Any problem, the query has to be taken from the user. That's the first thing. Next, we have to improve the query, because the user may not know what he is asking. We have to break down the query, solve the query, collect the solution, provide the output to the user. That's what we have to do. And this is what GPT-Researcher does. This is what Devin will do. This is what GPT-Pilot is also doing. And for doing those things, okay, this is going to be scary. So for doing those things, this is the flowchart of logic that is being followed. So how did I come across this logic? How did I find it out? That's one of the important things that we are going to learn next. So it's like, diving into the rabbit hole. And once you understand basic Python, once you understand classes, the object-oriented programming, functions, variables, that's all you will need for going through and understanding the logic that I'm going to explain. You don't need to be a master Pythoneer or Pythonist or anything. All you need to, you don't need to have 15 years or 20 years of experience. All you need is that you should have a good command on basic Python and good command on solving problems with Python. These are the two things that you will require. So let's dive in. Let's go back to the GPT-Researcher _td.py. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Here we see that the code is pretty simple. It's having just 31 lines of code, right? And that itself can be intimidating to a couple of people, that how such a small number of lines of code is doing these many wonders. Okay, there are two important lines that I want you guys to concentrate on. One is that this particular function. This is a function. It's a special kind of a function called as asynchronous function. But you don't need to worry about what is async and what is await as of now. So you don't need to think that this async and await is going to create a problem for us. Where is await? Just a second. Await is not here directly. So await is inside somewhere. Async is basically a kind of a function that can do multitasking, and it can wait for the program to complete and then provide the report. So you can see the async here and the await is here, right? The key class or the class definition is the GPT-Researcher class here that you see here. Sorry about the pop-up. And after that, this researcher.run. These are the two things that starts the entire process. But in order for this process to start, the get report function, this particular function has to be triggered. And to trigger that function, we use the async io.run. So the async io.run command and the GPT-Researcher.run command, do not get confused between these two. Async io.run is running this function, get_report, while researcher.run is actually running the research. So this is the key place where you need to concentrate. Now, researcher is actually a GPT-Researcher object. If you guys don't understand what is a GPT-Researcher object, don't worry about it. That's not the intention of this discussion. I want you guys to, even if you're from a background of C or C++, you might be having an understanding of objects. That's all you need to think about right now. So I'm going to follow this object and look at its code. Inside VS Code, all you need to do is press F12. After selecting this GPT-Researcher, you have to press F12. Now that is going to be a challenge. If you have just followed the video till now, and if you have started working on this particular Python notebook, Python script, and if you try to execute, it will fail. The reason is I did not actually provide you the information regarding the installation of supporting libraries. In order to get the GPT-Researcher to work, there is one library that you need to install, that is called as pip installation GPT-Researcher. So this is the library that you need to install, and this library will be installed automatically for you. You don't need to do anything else. You have to copy, you have to run this command pip install GPT-Researcher. I am using the virtual environment called as local pretter. You can create a virtual environment. It will be good for you. If you guys are new to virtual environment, try to take a look at the other videos in the YouTube. You will be able to find it out. Let's proceed further. So after you have installed GPT-Researcher, then only you can actually execute this code itself. And then once you are able to successfully execute the code, that's very important, then you can try and execute this particular step where you are going to use F12 shortcut key to go and look at the code of GPT-Researcher. In case you don't have VS Code, if you are having PyCharm, so there will be a separate shortcut key for that, and there is a way to follow through in PyCharm also. Okay, you don't have PyCharm also, you have a basic Vim, you like to work with the Y editor, then you can go to this particular path. So inside your virtual environment that you created, inside that there will be library, site packages, GPT-Researcher master, and under that inside the agent, you will have the GPT-Researcher class. That is another way. Apart from that, there is one more way, and for that you will actually have to go to the GPT-Researcher, the GitHub repo itself. There, if you go, you can actually go into GPT-Researcher here, and let me zoom in a bit. And then you'll see that there are lots of supporting documents. Go into master, and inside master you will have the agent, and inside the agent you will have this GPT-Researcher. Even if you are not able to follow this, you can actually search it in the go to file, and you will be able to get the GPT-Researcher. So there are lots of ways to do what I'm trying to do right now. I'm going to use the VS Code here because it's fluent to go step by step, and I can move between files very easily. So that's why I'm using VS Code. If you have any comments, do let me know in the comment section below. Now that we know that GPT-Researcher object that we have created here is leading to agent.py, we can walk through the code. So if you see here, I have shown you the entire code flowchart. That is the reason why I gave you the flowchart. Even the GPT-Researcher the repo themselves, they also, Asaf Elovic also has provided this kind of a flowchart. I think he has provided it in the under the GPT-Researcher area. So if you scroll down, he has provided that also. He has provided this flowchart. So it's pretty straightforward. So research questions, creates more queries, runs the queries, and then reports the agent. It's a pretty straightforward, simple flowchart he has provided. Kudos to him. But I'm going to dive a little more deeper than that. So I'll be literally creating a flowchart that Asaf Elovic and his team, or if he has done it by himself, he must have thought of these things, and he would have thought of at least in his mind that this should be the way he wants to attack the problem. So the GPT-Researcher will go to the run, and the run will create the agents by choosing the agents, and the agents will generate the report. The agents are actually generating the report. It goes, and once the agents are given the generate report command, they generate the report by looking at the prompts. So this is how the flow is. So the agent is under agent.py. It actually calls the functions, and it goes to prompts.py, and all these things. So this path of the tree is what generates the report, and these path, the get context search, get context URLs, this path is actually supporting this path. So that's how it is working. We'll be looking into the steps right now from the code perspective, but I want you guys to look at this. Take the file. This file is with Excalidraw extension. You can open it with VS Code extension also, and also you can open it on the online option. Like you can go to excalidraw.com or .in, I'm not sure, and there you can open this file also. Take a look at this flowchart and try to review it a couple of times. That's very important. And the same way, whenever any other agent comes into the wild, I'm pretty sure there will be a similar kind of structure and flowchart that follows these steps. I mean, this step is going to be there. You can't escape. You cannot solve a problem by using magic. You have to go through the process. You have to take the query, improve the query, break it down, solve the query, collect the solution, and give it. Even the large language models, even if it is AI, it's going to do the same thing. That is logic, right? It's not, you cannot defy logic. The technology follows the logic, finds efficient ways to use the logic. It does not defy logic. So be confident on that aspect, that technology will follow logic. And once you are confident about that, then you will be able to dive into and understand how it is working. Okay, let's move back. Let's go back to GPT-Researcher. We went to agent, and then now we are going forward now. So we know that we need to find something called as .run. So you can immediately see under the GPT-Researcher, if you scroll down for some 33 line, you will see def run. It's async. Don't worry about the async. You need to understand that this is a function that is getting triggered. And the moment you enter into the function, it is actually choosing the agent. So let us go up a bit and let me show you what has happened here. Actually, I have one more. You can copy this entire flow also that has been taken by the GPT-Researcher. You can copy that into your local environment, and you can you can review that also. So this is the AI research agent that has been created by the GPT-Researcher for the question that I asked. Explain me technically. The GPT-Researcher works along with the code examples. So that is what it has done, and it is telling you what agent has been created. So the choosing part of the agent has been completed. So once the agent choosing is done, then what happens is two tasks are done. Either if there is source URLs already provided, then it starts getting the context by the URLs, or if it's not provided, then it is first of all searching, get context by search. So in our case, in the task that we have provided, we have just provided the query. So we have not provided any other kind of supporting URLs or anything. So the AI research agent will be going and finding this. I will conduct my research based on the following queries. So let us scroll down, and if you look at it, after this call, after this steps, you will not find the from where the report or from where this particular line is coming. So from where I will conduct my research based on the following queries. From where is this getting printed? So this is actually getting printed from the, if you from this get underscore context by search. So this particular function gets triggered. That is also under agent.py only. You have to just scroll down, and you will see that the line I will conduct the research based on the following queries that you see here comes from this function only. And then what it does is it starts trying to get the subqueries. Okay, now what is happening? So in order to even start this, it has to first of all get the subqueries, right? Before this line got executed, the get subqueries line also got executed. That is the key point. So what the agent has done till now is it has taken the query, it has tried to break down the query into subqueries, and this particular function is doing that. So if you click on F12 here, it will go into functions.py. So you see from agents.py, when I clicked on the F12 on get subqueries, it moved to functions.py. This is again part of the GPT-Researcher only. And if you go into subqueries, you will see that it is trying to extract the details of the URLs using a different kind of a prompt. So here the create chat completion function is being used. So this is an interface to work with the large language models. And here we are giving the agent role prompt, and we are asking to generate search query prompts. And this actually goes and searches for searches the internet and also tries to get the information from the internet, right? And it also tells how many iterations we need to follow, etc. So all these things are already coded inside. Now, as I explain these things, it might be really confusing. I am actually jumping between stuff, right? So I was in agent, I came down, I showed you this particular line, but instead of going forward down, I actually went up. So the logic here is little difficult to grasp when you are doing it for the first time. Take your time, try to understand, take a deep breath, and in fact, use this video only as a wayfinder or a pathfinder. But I want you, if you are really interested, I want you guys to dive into the code and try to look at it. Once you look at it, you will be able to modify the code for your own requirement, or in fact, you might come up with a better code also. And that will be very useful for the entire community. That's also one of the reasons that I'm sharing this. Now, we have got the subqueries, and once the subqueries are there, the subqueries are placed into the subqueries variable, and here the subqueries are enumerated. So basically each query inside the subquery is called, and each time you will see running research for. So if you go up, so here you can see that the subqueries are collected, and you can see that running research for this particular query, and then it goes into the entire process. So it scrapes the sites by the query, it gets similar content by the query, and once that both of these things are done, it is appended to the content, and that content is appended to the context. Sorry about that. It's appended to the context, and the context is returned. So once this particular step of get context by search is triggered, the context is returned back. So if you go up, in this case, the context, get context by search, is returned back to self.context, and the self.context is provided back to the generate report. And that's when the writing of the research task starts. So in order to reach this research task, writing self.report type for research task, you have to walk down a lot. So let me scroll down a bit, and let me do that in a hurry. I'm doing that fast. Yeah, so we have the report here. So you can see writing research report for the research task. So this is the print that has been done by this particular log that you're seeing, or the print statement that you're seeing. So here the stream output is basically a print statement internally. You don't need to, I'm not diving into the nitty-gritty details, but you understand the point. After that, the generate report is triggered. So the generate report is kind of a final LLM call, which is going to get the query, which is going to get the context that has been collected from this line. It is going to also have the prompt from the self.role, and it is going to have the report type, which is already selected, and then everything is sent to the generate report. That's the aspect. But hold on a minute. That doesn't, tell me a lot. I mean, is this that simple? In fact, yes, it's actually that simple. If you understand these things, there is only one missing point right now, and that is, where is the prompts? I did not see any prompts anywhere. Okay, the prompts are actually getting created once you go into the choose agent. So if you go into choose agent, I will go again there, and in the choose agent, what happens is, if you scroll down, there is one line. So here there is this auto agent instruction. So this particular auto agent instruction, if you try to execute the F12 on it, then it will take to prompts.py, right? So why I am going through this path? So this is one of the things that I want you guys to experiment and also experience. So once you do this a couple of times, then you will actually become way confident. And also, most importantly, you will understand that most of the time it's prompts along with Python logic. So Python logic, as I already told, it's going to stay. Not just Python logic. Logic is going to stay. Anyway, so once I did that, followed that auto agent instructions, you will see that the entire, let me actually reduce this, and I am going to reduce the font size to make you guys to see better, and you will see that it is returning this entire, this particular function is simply returning this entire text data, right? And if you look at the text data, it is actually a prompt. This tasks involve researching a given topic regardless of the complexity and the availability of definitive answer, right? That's how the task is getting written. The server is determined by the field of the topic and the specific name. And then once this kind of a prompt is given, the task and the response, expected response, is given as examples. So this is called as zero-shot prompting. This is how you show some kind of examples to the prompts, and you expect, you show the examples to the large language model, and it provides the reply back. So the reply will be in the format of this JSON object, and it will be having the server with examples like finance agent, business agent, travel agent, and in our case it was AI agent, right? And this examples does not contain the AI agent for that matter. The AI agent was created by GPT-4 model, and the AI agent role prompt would have been also created by the GPT-4 model. So this is something that I want you guys to understand, right? So the entire prompt that you see here for a finance agent, it will be taken as an example by the GPT-4 model, and it would have created the prompt. So this is prompt automation. You are actually letting the model to do the prompting for you. Once you are able to do that, you are automating to a next level. But even that automation has to be still supported by Python logic. Fine. So we have this logic. Now what? Apart from that, there are other prompts that are working here. So if you scroll up, you'll see that depending on the type of the research, okay, if it is going to be a research report or a resource report, outline report, there are different kind of summarizing prompts that is being used here. So you can review each of the prompts. Like if it is an outline report, how is the prompt has to be maintained? If it is a resource report, I mean collecting the resources, then what needs to be done? If it is a research report, I mean research report is one of the longest one. So if the report, the general report, if you are going to ask, it's going to collect all the information, the questions, it is going to place the report format, it's going to decide how the report has to be generated and given the output with what kind of data and where. Everything has to be decided and it is placed. Okay, and you can actually look at these things step by step. The reason why I'm showing you the prompts, as I already told you, it's about the prompts and Python logic. Now let us actually move back. So from the prompts, we are moving back to functions. So we have got the response from auto agent. So we got the response from return from the auto agent, that is this return, and we come back here, and that return works as a system prompt to the LLM, and the task is provided here, and that task is creating a JSON, that is the JSON output, and here you can see it is collecting the agent role prompt as well as agent, the A agent name from the server, and that is how that is actually given back to choose agent, right? So the choose agent, you have to come back here, which is getting called here. So this particular step is getting assigned here. So the agent and the role are getting created here. Now you can, this particular line is what printing this statement. So if you scroll up, why I'm going back and forth and showing you all this thing is that to give you the confidence that if you are ready to spend the time and give your the brain power to understand the logic, it is pretty straightforward. So you see the AI research agent is getting printed here, and that printing is done by using this particular line. So we see how the entire GPT-Researcher is working inside out. And let's go back here. So now you have some clarity on how the GPT-Researcher is working, right? Yeah, I have not delved into the other AI agents, but now you know that by using the logic that you have learned till now, you know how GPT-Researcher is able to create a good report. So if you go back here, and if I use Control-Shift-V, you can see that a very good working and presentable report. You can actually convert this report into PDF also. There are MarkDown to PDF extensions. You can use that and you can convert it into PDF. You can put it in your report format also. Nothing is stopping you, right? But how it is doing, now we know how it is doing. And if some kind of error occurs, by understanding and flowing through this logic that we got through, you will know why that particular error is occurring. So tomorrow, if you are developing a product on top of this, do let the references to Asaf Ilovic GPT-Researcher repo. That's very, very important. It's very important for giving the credit where the credit is due. And this particular discussion, I am having it especially for showing that how important it is to learn Python coding, not just Python coding, to learn problem solving through code. That's one of the primary objective of this series of discussions that I will be having. I believe that you have learned a thing or two from this discussion. Do leave me your comments and also do subscribe to my channel. Next, I will be diving into GPT-Pilot. That's the next. It's an AI software developer. It has been touted as alternate for Devin, but there are lots of prompts. There will be lots of logic involved, and how the logic works there, how the files are created, how it actually interacts with the GPT, or sorry, not GPT. How it interacts with the GitHub repo, how it interacts with your file system. These things are something that you need to have. You need to question ahead of time before you even dive into these kinds of creating the flowchart. Because first of all, you need to visualize that, okay, this is what I think is happening, and then you need to go into the code and try to find it out. That's one of the process I follow. So if you have any questions, you can let me know on that aspect also. I will try to make a video on that. With that said, I would like to leave the video with 4 words, that is explore, explore, practice, practice. See you guys. Have a great time.